Welcome to our second half hour, everyone. For tonight's Closer Look, we're digging deeper into the case of missing 2-year-old Deorr Kunz Jr. Local News 8's Chelsea Brensel joins me now in the studio. Chelsea, you were the first to break this story, and now it's become really a national headline, and people want answers.
Yes, it has, and Jay, yes, they do. The private investigator in this case opening up more tonight. We asked him the questions you want the answers to. Here's what he had to say.
We've come to the conclusion that, beyond a reasonable doubt, that we do not believe Deorr Kunz is alive. We believe that in this case, we are now investigating this case as an accidental or an intent death.
Do you think it's likely that you will be able to find a body?
You know, I'm not willing to speculate. You know, that's called crystal balling the case. I'm not willing to crystal ball the case. We're just letting the case take us where it takes us. Do I believe we see light at the end of the tunnel in this case? Yes, I believe we're getting there quickly. I'm kind of surprised how fast this case has gone. I thought it might go a little further, but we seem to be making strides in a lot of headway right now. So,
do you have a central theory that you're following up on?
Yes, we do have a central theory that we are following up on. Well, we are we've established that theory last Friday night in the war room down here in Texas. The investigators all got together and we have come to the same conclusion. It was a 9-0 vote. We have sent our findings on to law enforcement. You know, as publicly said by the Sheriff's Department up there, new evidence has come forward, and this case is very fluid at this point. So we are there. We are getting there. I can't say enough about the FBI, where you folks live out there. I can't say enough about the law enforcement in Deorr and also in Idaho Falls. I can't say enough about these guys. These guys are dedicated folks. Our team is dedicated, and we're going to bring the citizens of Idaho the answers they're asking.
A lot of people, of course, on social media have all these questions, all these theories, and I know you've talked a little bit about that, but one of the things that we see a lot is that they say, we need to bring in Jessica and Deorr, and we need to question them. But they've already, I mean, that's happened.
I can confirm that the parents have been interviewed by the United States Department of Justice, FBI. They have been interviewed by the Sheriff's Department at Deorr, and they have been interviewed by the Sheriff's Department in Idaho Falls, and they have been interviewed by our firm. That's the only statement I can make to you, the public, right now, as we are going through and we're analyzing those statements.
As far as the results of those analysis coming together, you can't probably say anything about that?
No, currently at this time, it's part of the timeline of this case. We have established a good and clean timeline, and anything we make statements on what someone had said or someone had done would be inappropriate at this time. We are moving towards a prosecutorial phase in this case, and you know, we don't want to jeopardize the case for law enforcement. Again, like I said, they are dedicated people and they're working very hard on this.
Do you believe this will end in felony charges?
I can't comment on that for the prosecutor up there, nor can I comment for law enforcement any charges that they would file. As far as I'm concerned and my team's concerned, you know, that's up to them. We're just trying to find out what happened to this child, and we are sharing everything we're gathering with law enforcement, and this is a great example of public and private, public being law enforcement and private being private security board investigators working together as a team to come to a common goal. And you know, law enforcement and the prosecutor will make decision on if, when, and what those charges will be. Our job is to assimilate the information, get it to law enforcement, and let's find little Deorr.
And one thing that I do know that you've said is that you 99% feel that he was on the mountain. Does that mean that he was at the campsite or just on the mountain, or can you say?
Let me be clear about what I'm saying. I want to be very, very clear with everybody in the media, okay?
Okay.
My belief is, and our team's belief is, Deorr is on the mountain or near the mountain. I will say this. We have interviewed the father. We have interviewed the mother. We have interviewed the grandfather. We have not interviewed Isaac Renoir. He has hired a counsel, which is his right to do. He has hired counsel, We have extended an arm in friendship to the council and saying, let's bring him in a room. You can sit there and you can tell him to answer or not to answer, but let's hear his story. Let's hear his story. And we have not heard his story yet. We need to hear his story. And so far we've been blocked from doing that. In fact, we have not even received a return phone call from his counsel.
Is that counsel Kent Goucher?
Yes. According to a document that is on file, he officially represents him. That's all I can say.
After multiple phone calls to the firm Kent Goucher works at, I decided to go and ask him what was going on in person. I was turned away, saying that Mr. Goucher knew I called and would get back to me if he wanted to speak to me about Isaac Renwald. According to the Idaho Repository, Goucher has represented Renwald in at least one other case, and I actually went to Renwald's house. I knocked 3 times and there was no answer, so I did leave. Here's what Mr. Kline has to say about social media.
Well, what I have to say to the people out in social media are a few things. Number one, some of the people out there in social media have hindered this case. Witnesses have come forward after and only after they received assurances that their identities would remain anonymous, number one, and number two, that their information would remain anonymous. And so, you know, once we were able to give them that assurance, they were scared their names and their information would be splashed up on Facebook. And that has happened in some cases from leaks from family members to people that have nothing to do with this case that don't even live in Idaho. This case is a national case. So I guess my message that I'm trying to send to the people of Idaho, if not the United States and beyond, people in England and all around that are watching this case, is simply, before you write something and then you push that little button that sends it out for the world to see it, you know, let's take a step back and take a breath and think about what the main objective here is that's finding little Deorr, and not to scare witnesses and not to put false conjecture out on the internet that something should happen to, let's say, the parents or the grandparents or Mr. Renwald or the police or, in fact, our firm. You know, we're trying to say, take a step back, let us as the PSP investigators do our job, let law enforcement do their job, let the prosecution do their job, give everybody just a little bit of room here. We're all working hard towards getting to the end of this. Social media has hurt this case, yet it has also helped this case. Social media is a very dangerous place. After all, you can, you know, everything you read on the internet is right? So that's kind of the message we're sending out there, that everything you read on the internet, folks, is not necessarily true. Everything on the internet out there is sometimes false. So before you take it as fact in the gospel, take a step back and think about it and make a decision whether or not that you really want to say something. Words mean things, and words can hurt people, and words can hurt this investigation. So take a step back. That's all we're asking, is just take a step back. Think about what you're going to say and give everybody some room to do their jobs.
Social media definitely playing a big role in this. You know, I've had the pleasure of meeting the parents, and they say they've been really upset with some of the things that have been said, some of the rumors that have been spread as well. It's
just amazing to me that this incident that happened in little Deorr, Idaho, has gained national and even worldwide attention. Why do you suppose that is?
I mean, you put this cute little baby boy out there in a very mysterious disappearance, and I think that, you know, the world just takes it by storm. But good thing is, like we talked about just a second ago, is that law enforcement and the private investigator are all working together to figure this out.
A lot of resources working on this all together, and working together from what I can tell.
And so hopefully we'll let you know as soon as we find anything out.
Thank you, Chelsea.